People with bad characters will make bad characters, both in life and on TV, especially on reality shows. There's no way around it. Let's get into it. What up, y'all? I hope everybody's New Year's been off to a good start. I'm Christopher Markland, and welcome to my review/analysis of episode 12 of Ready to Love. It's been a minute since I've done one of these reviews, so if you're new to this channel, if you're new to how I do things, please, what I do instead of just regurgitating or telling you what happened scene for scene, line for line on the show that you already watched, instead I break down the interactions with the people on the screen, try and dig a little bit between, behind the motivations, that kind of thing. So if you like how I do it, if you like my review, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share it. Tell somebody about it.
Strap in and turn up. This is the Ready to Love DC Reunion Special.
So this is part one of the reunion special, and if you can't tell by now, I gave up on this season. Honestly, y'all, I couldn't deal with the BS because this season's cast, they just made these reviews not fun, and it became a chore to, after watching yet another episode of just these annoying people, and let me not say people because it's not all of them, but it's hard to dig through the good and the bad in order to really see the good and the potential that's there in the show. So quite honestly, I just gave up on it. But here we are. This is the first part of the two-part reunion special before this season's over with. So it really became a chore, but even in this episode, they stayed consistent.
Now, this season's reunion special is going to be a little bit different, starting with the host, because unfortunately, I tested positive for COVID-19. Now, I'm feeling healthy and strong, but out of an abundance of caution, I'm passing the torch to a good friend of mine and a native of DC. Yeah, my girl, Miss Tanika Ray.
Regardless of where you fall on the whole vaccine debate and all that other nonsense, I can tell you from personal experience that COVID ain't no joke. So I'm praying for Tommy, his family, and everybody else. Now, from the videos, it looks like he was in good health. He was in good spirits. And, he said that it wasn't anything truly negative, but he did test negative, so it is what it is. I will say this though, I like the host Tanika Ray that filled in for Tommy. I like how she handled it because she wasn't there following each one of the show's cast like Tommy was from the very beginning at the mansion all the way to the end. So because of that, it was like a little bit, she was more of a dispassionate observer, but she's still a professional journalism. So she asked some good questions. She kind of held certain people in check and held them to the fire. So I appreciate how she stepped in and handled it. I kind of hope that she does it, moving forward, because there were a couple episodes last season where I'm like, yeah, I appreciate it's your wife, Tommy, but I wish we had a different perspective. But either way it goes, I like Tanika Ray. I like how she held it down. Praying for you, Tommy.
If I see a red flag, even if it looks pink, I'm gonna say flag on the play.
I'm not sure that Sabrina was really talking about red flags or Sean's bad makeup job. Y'all, I don't know nothing about makeup. I'm every now and then I see the wife, she watches one of the makeup tutorials, but I do know some bad makeup when I see it. And not only on Sean, but on some of the ladies as well. Yo, there was a point during the show as I'm watching it, I got up and, well, I didn't get up, I hit the remote to actually adjust the color settings on the TV because I'm like, yo, something ain't right here. Am I the only one that had to do that? Y'all let me know.
I was leading with my heart. I'm not trying to fake the funk. I wasn't trying to be in a relationship just to say, hey, I made it to the end. It's still about what I want at the end of the day. And you can't compromise what you want, because if you do that, then you're gonna end up being a jerk down the road.
Sean was actually one of the more genuine and honest men on the show, and he was there with a purpose. He wanted to make a genuine connection with a woman, but he also wanted to have kids. And that right there was really part of the problem. He was interested in the most mature women on the show, not necessarily in age, but just in how they carried themselves, and that being Sabrina and Aisha. The problem was he asked both of those women directly if they wanted to have more children, and the answer was a no. So since he wanted to have more kids, he would have been better served to approach the younger women, especially those who didn't have kids. However, because of that disconnect, meaning the ones that he was interested in didn't have kids and the ones that he didn't approach who didn't, it was just completely out of whack. And because of that, he wasn't able to stay on the show. But I definitely respect him for how he approached things and the things that he wanted.
Sabrina, what does that make you feel like that he said there was no joy?
I think joy in the
I
process.
think it has a lot to do with the friend's date, because I know you did feel attacked. And again, I want to apologize to you for that day.
This season's cast left a lot to be desired. However, there were a few that seemed to be genuine people, and you just got that vibe from them from the very beginning. Sabrina was one of those people. I mean, you could see that she was who she was, and she stayed true to who she was from the very start all the way to the end, where she even backed away from Walter because she just wasn't comfortable with that. She didn't just jump in and say, hey, we're here and I was chosen, so yeah, let's run off into the sunset. She wasn't happy with how he handled her, and she said as much, and she said, you know what, thanks, but no thanks, and she backed up. She was one of the more mature women, and again, I'm not talking about age, I'm just talking about how she carried herself. I'll also add Aisha, Courtney, and as far as the fellas, Sean, Phil, there are a couple, like I said, those were the ones that stood out the most as being the more genuine of the crew.
My friends, they don't know what's going on behind the scenes. They think that there's a man that's pursuing me, coming to meet my friends. And because he didn't have, I guess, the right answers, they went in on him.
They went in.
Again, this is why I am not a fan of the friends date or any other ambush style date where you're basically, or that person is walking into a scenario where people are already there and either have formed a conclusion about you or have gotten some information. So now you're walking in and it's essentially an ambush style scenario. There's nothing good that comes from that. Dating somebody, pursuing somebody should be fun. It shouldn't be combat where you feel you have to defend yourself against things both perceived and imagined. It doesn't, there's nothing good that's going to come from that. Now, I'm not saying that your friends or your family shouldn't weigh in and have an, not necessarily input at least, but give opinion, counsel, advice as far as, where are these pets? Shouldn't be able to weigh in and give you advice as far as what they think or something that they may pick up on that you don't necessarily see. All I'm saying is that whenever you walk in and it's an ambush style date, your guard is already up, their guard is up, and it's more adversarial than it needs to be.
This is the first time you've heard her apologize for what happened
Yes.
at the Friends. So did you receive it?
Well, I'll say this. She did apologize on my way out. It was like we hugged each other and she was like, sorry. I mean, I have no ill will towards Sabrina, but that situation did suck.
Sean is a perfect example of not everybody needs to be on that show. Now, I do believe that they could have probably searched a little bit harder and found better people, better candidates to appear on the show. But at the end of the day, you go to war with the army you have, and Sean was one of those people. He was looking for love in all the wrong places because none of the women wanted what he actually wanted, which was children. To be clear, the women that he was interested in didn't want to have children or any more children. So therefore, the small pool of an already small pool of women that were there, he wasn't compatible with them regarding the things that they wanted and the things that he wanted. So therefore, it was just there was no way he could have won.
I definitely am more attracted to a calm, collected guy. Everyone else was kind of running up to me, like getting to know me kind of quickly. And I'm like, what is he doing? You're not gonna come over and say hello? But you're my type. I prefer that type of guy. So instantly I was attracted to him.
This is a textbook example of how not being thirsty will get you what you want in the end. Now, Phil, he's a low-key, laid-back individual anyway, so he wasn't being anything other than who he already is. I've always said that pretty women didn't just become pretty overnight. They learn how to become pretty, and on that journey of them being pretty, men are going to shoot their shot. Men are going to approach them with every weapon in their arsenal, be it looks, be it money, be it power, whatever that man has. Like me, I'm a medium ugly dude, but I got a good personality and I'll get you smiling. So that's what I use. I use my sense of humor. I use my intellect, all that good stuff. Men will use what we have in order to get the woman that we want. Now, with Phil, because he just sat back, he fell back and just watched the other dudes approach her. Sydney picked up on that, and as such, that's what intrigued her about him. She was like, yo, who's this dude that, is not giving me the attention that, I'm used to getting? And because of that, that's what he used to basically end up with her, or at least to get the conversation started.
As I always say, Frank and I are going to be besties for life.
Correct.
Like, I want the best for him. But it was definitely difficult. I didn't make my mind up until like the very end.
Are we dating exclusively, Sydney and Phil?
I'm dating this woman exclusively.
Huh. Imagine that, having the time and the space to go all the way to the end without having somebody forcing you or demanding that you make a decision as to who your choice will be. Imagine that, even though, you know, Phil knew who he wanted, but he still didn't force her to make a decision. Huh, that's a novel concept, ain't it? Just being able to go all the way to anyway. And I will say this. The question was asked. I heard I heard Phil answer the question as far as, you know, hey, I'm not dating anyone else, but I didn't hear Sydney answer that. If I missed it, y'all let me know in the comments.
Be careful, you know, you already know they're gonna bring it.
Over the run of the show, we've had some pretty interesting characters, from Darlene to Troy to Alexis to David to Naya, just to name a few. We've had some characters. I'll leave it at that. However, this season, it seemed that the name of the game was drama, and they found the perfect ones in Cornelius, Camille, Corey, and Zadia, in that they were just unlikable. And it's something about, you know, the first ones that I named from previous seasons. At the end of the day, there just didn't seem to be any maliciousness to them. You know, they may have been mean, they may have been a lot of things, but at least there was something likable about them. This particular season, this was just the most unlikable people that they could have possibly find.
Everyone has many personalities, but for me, I'm able to name them. Olivia is the emotional one, and Shay Shay is the firecracker. Olivia and Shay Shay are very real, and if they make an appearance, I definitely have to explain why they made their appearance.
Camille, Shay Shay, Olivia. Is there anybody else?
No, that's it.
At this point, I don't know if she's being real or if she's trolling us. I mean, I don't know, but I do know this. She's a 42-year-old woman, and these antics, just all of her behavior, I get it. We just get a glimpse of who she really is. So we really don't know. We don't know anything about her other than what we see on the screen. But at the end of the day, that's all we can go off of, is what we see, what she presents to us. And at the end of the day, it's not good. And the crazy thing to me is that 3 men proposed to her. I get it. The men, we don't know them. We don't know how she presented to those men. I get it. We really don't know her. But it's just like, yo, this is too much.
Necessarily look like that, because it's definitely giving crazy, possessive, obsessive, all of that.
Just a little bit.
Right, but you know, editing does what editing does too.
It ain't but so much editing in the world.
I sometimes give a reality show disclaimer in that, yeah, it's a reality show, and the producers as such are trying to create a particular narrative about a person, a scenario, whatever the case may be. However, Sabrina is spot on. They cannot edit you into saying something that you didn't say, and they can't edit you into acting like or acting like someone you are not. And in other words, creating something that's not there. It's, you are who you are, and the camera at the end of the day is just there to show the world who you are, who you really are. And it's also there to catch you when you try to lie about who you really are or what it is you said, and you're going to pretend to say that you didn't say it.
Camille may have been a little bit possessive during the show.
She was not. I'm not owning that.
Okay, what are we saying that you were?
We're not owning that.
What are we saying that you were?
You got it.
I'm a very sarcastic individual. People don't get it.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, Camille. I appreciate the clarity on that.
Yeah, I know it's subtle, but did y'all catch where Camille said she was not, and she was talking about herself? And remember, she literally just got talking about those multiple personalities that she has. Anyway, I like that host Tanika Ray, because what she did right there was, you know, she wasn't talking to Camille. She was talking to the other people on the stage, and she was asking them a particular question. However, Camille jumped in and tried to take that back and saying that she wasn't going to own whatever it was. It's not up to her to own. Miss Ray was asking the other people their opinions, their perspectives. I like how Tanika Ray paused and said, okay, yeah, I appreciate your clarity on that, which is essentially like, yeah, okay, I got you now. Basically, shut the fuck up, and I'm gonna go back and talk to these people. I appreciate that. That was a classy ass way of doing it. I might have to add that to my repertoire, but I like how she did that, and I like how she's handling the show itself, keeping things moving asking good, solid, relevant questions.
Because there was a word used that is a very charged word for a black woman. When a word aggressive comes out of black woman, it's no bueno.
No bueno.
And I think we all learned that. And what you guys demonstrated was how to talk through that calmly with respect.
As an author, I have a love of words, and I especially appreciate when a word is used appropriately. I get it. I understand the power and the passion that comes behind the use of the word aggressive when it comes to black women. I totally 100% understand. That's not to say that the use of the word is now off the table, especially when it is appropriate when you are trying to convey how that person is acting towards someone. You can't just take it off the table because it hurts somebody's feelings, but especially when it is being used appropriately. I understand where, you know, the pain comes from, but in this case, it's 100% being used correctly in my opinion.
Got it.
Why do you put Walter?
Please just talk about this because no one can
Walter's a
speak.
nice piece of furniture.
And he looks like it too. Why am I here?
Walter's like a vase, like just sitting here like, oh.
I personally think that Walter was on the stage so that there would be at least one man present. If not, you'd have 6 women, the host, and then Cornelius. Now, I'm not calling Cornelius's sexuality into question. I'm not trying to even get into another black man's sexuality. I'm not here for that. But what I am calling into question is his masculinity. Every time there has been some nonsense with a whole bunch of women, Cornelius has been in the mix. The whole Brown Girl Squad shit, when it first popped off in the car, Cornelius was there. When Mumin walked in on Sabrina and Walter playing the piano, Cornelius was there. Every time he's had the opportunity to check bad behavior in another woman, he doesn't check that woman, and he doesn't check himself out of situations where a man really don't need to be all up in woman shit. No, he's always there and present in the messiness, the drama, and that's just not, for me, that's not a place where a man should be. And if you are there, it's like, yo, hold up, hey y'all, come on now, let's stop, let's you do something. Every time there's nonsense, that's when he shuts up. The only time he seems to speak up and want to say, well, I just don't like that, is in the one-on-one confessionals where it's just him and the camera. He says the right thing then. I don't like how she touched me there, even though you said it was okay for her to touch you if you go back and watch the episodes. I don't like this, even though when you have that person one-on-one, you don't say you don't like it. He says all the right things in the confessionals, but he doesn't say that to the person. And that's why I'm challenging, for lack of a better word, his masculinity and how he's carried himself throughout the duration of the show and also in this episode.
Can Sabrina be a part of the Brown Girl Squad?
Did you just hear Sabrina curse me out? Sabrina can't be my friend if she's cursing me out.
Bitch, you ain't been trying to be my friend the whole time.
Sabrina.
Now I just cursed because you've been treating me like trash from beginning. Oh.
Y'all remember that one review I did where I talked about shallow hell, meaning they're sweet, they look great on the outside, but the personality is just pure, just garbage. Both Zadia and Camille have this thing where they throw rocks and they hide hands. The difference between the two women, though, is Zadia at least has a nice, pleasant, happy-go-lucky expression on her face, where Camille is she just looks dour. But they're both mean-spirited women who throw the insults, who say the cuss words, who do all of the things, but then, oh my Lord, help me. Oh, did you not hear how she cussed at me? Even though all of the things that Zadia has said. However, now that Sabrina is calling her out, that's when she wants to act like she's the aggrieved party, and it's like, oh Lord, look at, they're attacking me. It's one of those things where right now she's being called out on her behavior and she doesn't like it.
Okay. You're nasty.
So what is that about?
You're a bully. Ooh.
Hold fast.
Don't walk away now. You had so much to say
please come
before.
back so we can get some
When
clarity.
I can talk, I'll come back.
We don't need to see her. She could go.
Zadia, please come back.
You mean and you nasty.
This is my segment.
Some people can dish it out, but they sure as hell can't take it. It would have been one thing if Zadia was in fact innocent, if she was like, hey man, why are y'all coming at me like that? But she's not. Let's go back to when she wants to put her hands in Dante's face and cuss at him like, he's just some trash on the street. Let's go back, both Camille and Zadia, but I'm gonna stick with Zadia on this one since she's the one that's in question. All of the ways that she has carried herself throughout to get to this point. You go back to when they were sitting at the table to where Zadia knows how to poke, and Dante called it right. She knows how to poke the bear and just stir up that shit, that muck. And then when it's just stinking and all, just everybody's just going astray because she's created that chaos, she then hides her hands like, oh my God, what's going on here? Did you hear how she talked to me? That is the kind of person that personally I don't like. I get it. I'm getting a little passionate about it because I know people like that. We all do. They say certain things, get you amped up, and then when you react to that, it's like, why are you talking to me like that? Why are you cursing at me? Oh, how could you? That's that bullshit. I don't like it, and I am glad that it is finally being called out, and it's being called out to, and even now she can't take it. She gets up and walks away because there's no way she cannot hide, because they're gonna pull up the tape and they see her for who she really is.
So was it the cameras on you?
No, I don't even think that it was the cameras. I think the one thing that I've always been very guarded and like kind of keep lock and key is my love relationships, because I've been hurt. I've also, you know, at times.
Frank sounds like this right about now.
Dreams that you
I don't understand how you go on a nationally televised show that's about dating and finding a long-term love/relationship situation and then say, well, I prefer private relationships. I get it. All of us should have a private relationship, or it is in your best interest to keep your relationship private. Don't put all your stuff on social media and all that. Keep your relationship between you and the people involved in said relationship. But it doesn't make sense what he's saying right now. What he's asking for is what you do after those cameras go off. Throughout the duration of the show, they talked about how they called each other, how they texted each other, how they talked, etc., etc. That's the privacy of the relationship. So what he's saying right now about, oh, I just want a private relationship, man, that don't make no kind of sense.
It hurts. You gotta be careful with people. You keep talking about the fact that you've been hurt before. You're not the only person
I'm
that's
not
been
saying
hurt.
otherwise.
You know how much it takes to go on this type of journey, the bravery it takes to open up again to somebody? You wanna know what I went through before this chapter? You have no idea, and I trusted you.
This season had only a few genuine people, and the rest of them, I'm sorry to say, were full of shit. This is one of those things where loving someone or being available to love means that you are being as open and as vulnerable as possible, and you are hoping that the person that you are interested in is doing the same. Throughout this entire show, this season, it seems that a lot of people were just basically putting on, just putting on for the camera. It didn't seem like any of them were, the majority of them, it seemed, were not there for the true, honest purpose of the show, which is being ready to love. Instead, it seemed like they were just ready to be on TV.
What's really going on?
There's context to everything. I think 8 out of the 9 men chose Zadia as their #1 choice in the first deliberation. So that's the elephant in the room that we're not talking about. I'm not saying that's the cause.
How will we know
problem,
about
but
that?
that's an important fact.
How will the ladies know? How is that an important? Because we're
It's amazing the kind of men that both of those two women ended up with. What the hell does anything that he just said, what does the men and what the men did in their deliberations have to do with the confrontation at the resort and Zadia's personality? That shit doesn't make any sense, and that non-point that he just added to the discussion kind of speaks to his character as well, because it literally makes no sense and adds nothing to that conversation that they were having. At least Cornelius got the good sense not to jump in to the conversation. The only time he even speaks is when someone speaks to him directly. The rest of the time he just sits there mute. I kind of wish that, Naeem had done the same, because what he just said didn't make no damn sense.
This isn't about love. This is about disrespect. It has nothing to do with love. It's about how you treat people. It's great. Zadia is a beautiful woman. No one's taking that away from her.
I think they like
she's
her
beautiful
because she's beautiful.
But
There's other things involved too.
It's good that 8 men picked her. That's wonderful. She's a beautiful woman. I liked Zadia at first.
And that's what it boils down to. If he thinks that all of this, that Zadia's bad character, Zadia's bad personality, and all of the commotion, all of the hubbub was because of how she looks and that she's attractive and that the other men liked her, and then obviously what his friend said, once it was his friend, his ex, his family, I can't even remember, but a couple episodes back, they warned him like, hey, don't fall in love with the body, don't fall in love with the booty, fall in love with the personality. Obviously, he cannot or has not done that, because if all he's thinking about is how she looks, and that how she looks is affecting how the others are acting towards her, he's missing the forest for the trees. She has a bad personality. There are some personality quirks about her that are not positive, and she is now being called out on that. If he doesn't agree with it, then he really just needs to shut up and just sit back and listen. But to jump in and add that they're coming at her because of how she looks, that's just completely off base.
Granted, that's great. Y'all made a connection. But who's to say he won't get voted off the island because he's not giving anybody else?
Well, I'm not It's called ready to love, not confused. I went like this.
Not giving anybody.
Well, I'm not
Did you not hear? Did you guys hear that?
Yes.
I hear it now. I didn't hear it when I was there.
Bad character does what bad character does. She is caught in 4K. Her lie in that she didn't say what obviously she said. You see her lips moving. You see the words coming out. Yeah, there was no editing. It wasn't nothing but who she really was. And we saw it for what it was. Now, I give Naeem some grace in that maybe he didn't hear it in the moment, but I know for a damn fact that Cornelius heard it, because if you go back and watch that whole scene, he reacted, meaning his head bobbed back, and he reached out and started shaking his head no. He heard her comment, and then that's when things went downhill from there. It's one of those things where, and as you move further on in the episode, even Sydney was like, hey man, y'all step up and say something, because it's like it's a bunch of women going at it. And it's like, hey fellas, can y'all not see what's going on? Meaning, look, this is a bunch of people with bad characters, bad personality on display. And honestly though, as a man, I kind of feel why most of them dudes didn't say anything, because it's, and I mentioned this, alluded to this earlier, it's a bunch of mean girls. This is like some high school stuff. And this whole scene, this one in particular, was caused basically by two mean girls and Cornelius. All of it could have been avoided if basically, and especially now, if they just owned up. If Camille was woman enough to say, you know what, I did say that, but it's because I really feel serious about Cornelius. If she had said that, everything would have went sideways. But instead, they stayed with that lie. And you can tell that a lot of this stuff between Cornelius and Camille was pre-rehearsed, and you can also see that with Zadia and Naeem, to where it's like, hey, y'all better say this and stand up for us, instead of them standing true on the fact that they on some bullshit.
What's wrong, Tasia?
This is ghetto.
Yes, it is.
I'm not dealing with this. It's just like everybody's grown. Y'all over 30, arguing, bickering. It's just so ghetto.
It's giving ratchet because we calling people out on actions.
This is not what I came here for. I got things to do. My mother is in the hospital.
So you go on a show, and in a segment that has got nothing to do with you, you make it about you by walking off the set. I get it. There are certain portions and certain people on this particular season that are ghetto and ratchet. However, and let me say this too, a hit dog will holler, because if you notice, the only person that said yes it is was Naeem, but hey, I'm gonna fall back on that one. All I'm saying is this: just like Shiloh didn't come on this particular episode, the reunion, Tasia could have done the same thing, especially if you have a mother that's sick at home in the hospital. I guarantee that the rest of that cast would have been understanding if she didn't show up and if she wasn't able to be there. However, she was there. And again, this segment had absolutely nothing to do with her. She made it about her when she basically threw a tantrum and walked off that stage the way that she did.
He say, she say all day. That's all we're doing is bickering back and forth. This is ridiculous.
She's not gonna hold herself accountable.
Ghetto. It's too much.
Crazy. Everybody should be embarrassed.
Half of y'all over 40.
Yes.
Consume my whole life, Libba.
At the end of the day, Tasia's right. There are people on this show in their 30s and 40s that are basically acting like a bunch of teenagers in a Disney movie, high school, after school special, where it's, you know, the captain of the football team. It's just some mean girl stuff. However, we got one more episode before this season is finally done, and we can bury it in the memory and just move on to hopefully a better season next next season with I want to say the next one is set in DC as well. But anyway, before we get into that, I do want to say this. I am going to be doing the CM show, get back on track to doing the CM show, the live broadcast. So if you haven't already done so, please be sure to like and especially subscribe to this channel. That way you'll get the notifications of when I go live, when the next show's coming up, that kind of thing. Also, be sure to follow me on social media. On Twitter, I do live tweet during the show if I can get to it. The way this thing falls during the holiday season, it's a little tough at times to do, but I definitely, I'm always on Twitter, always commenting about this show, and I'm trying to figure out what show I'm going to review next, because as much as I enjoy Ready to Love, I really want to look at other shows as well. A couple of people have given me some options, such as Married at First Sight, but no thanks. Y'all let me know what other shows you'd like for me to review. Also, follow me on Facebook at author Christopher Markland, and follow me on Instagram at Christopher_Markland. Y'all, I appreciate y'all joining me for this one. If you have anything, let me know what y'all think about this review so far. What do y'all think about Tasia storming off the stage? What do y'all think about Zadia and her just anguish, oh my Lord, and all of that nonsense? Y'all let me know what you think in the comment section. Hey, as always, y'all, I appreciate y'all. Y'all stay determined.